Instagram allows you to cross-post your Instagram post directly onto Facebook at the same time. We all know this, right? When you go to Instagram, you upload a post and you can click share to Facebook. So it's really easy to get the same content on two different platforms. But is it really a good idea? Today, we're going to take a look at the stats, at the numbers, and find out if cross-posting or dual posting your Instagram content over to Facebook is a good idea. And we want you to participate in the conversation. Let me know in the comment section right now, is cross-posting Instagram content to Facebook a good or a bad idea? We'd love to hear from you. Welcome back. It's Social Media Lab Live.
Are you ready to use science to bust some myths in the social media ecosystem?
Great Scott!
Welcome to the Social Media Lab Live, brought to you by Agorapulse, where our social media scientists experiment on real accounts to crack the code on social media success for your business.
Type 5 to subscribe to the show.
Now your hosts, Owen Video and Scott Ayres.
Welcome back to the Social Media Lab Live, where we are cracking the code to find out what's working and what's not working with social media marketing. I'm Owen Video, live video host extraordinaire, here with my good friend, content scientist and social media expert, Scott Ayres, and we're live every single week on Facebook and YouTube when we're not completely in the dark. You can give me 5. That's right. Type 5 into the comment section now. If you're watching on Facebook, that will subscribe you to the show. And if you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to click the subscribe button and join us every single week. If you're watching the replay, type replay into the comment section now so we can come back to the show and say hello. Ladies and gentlemen, please like bomb my co-host today. He's content scientist, hair enthusiast, and with data, he's the grooviest. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Scott the Man Ayres. Scott, welcome to the show.
Hey, what's going on? You having a good day? I've came in with new hair. You came in with new beard.
I did. Yeah, I'm a little scraggly, but actually, it looks like you finally pinned down. Scott, before the show, Scott had like a wavy thing happening over here.
Yeah, trying out some new hair today. This may be my conference hair. I'm gonna go to social media marketing world and walk around with this in March. So yeah, I got to get better hair. So hopefully
I can't wait to see you there. It'll be some fun to get some content at Social Media Marketing World. It's one of the conferences that I never ever miss. Do you go to Social Media Marketing World? Let me know in the comment section below. Scott, how many times have you been to that conference?
This will be my first, actually. I've never gone before. Yeah, I've worked out, and then Emmerich last year was like, "Hey, you want to go?" I'm like, "Sure." And so I think 4 people on our team are going to be there this year to kind of hang out and party with our friends.
Emmerich had a strong showing last year. Emmerich, by the CEO of Agorapulse, sponsor of our show, phenomenal social media software. You guys check them out at agorapulse.com. Really great to see you out there. Hey, Kara is watching us live, and Sarah, good to see you on this show. Be sure to tag your friends and share this video on your timeline right now. We're going to be digging into the topic of, is cross-posting your content from Instagram onto Facebook, is that even a good idea? Is that something you want to be investing your time into? We're going to be digging into that today. We have a great guest, and can't wait to bring him on the show. A lot of our friends this week are hanging out at the Traffic and Conversion Summit, another phenomenal conference. Lots of marketers and businesses gather in San Diego. It's really the
funny story about that too.
Yeah, what's that?
Years ago, when I think I was working for Hubsy. Remember when Fiverr launched? You could do all these goofy gigs on it. I had this software. I'm not gonna name the software. And I had this other. I used to wear a pimp hat. I used to call myself the fan page pimp, and I had this crazy hat and big glasses. And I had this gig on top where I would upload your video to like 12 different video sites for SEO purposes and stuff. And so I did it for like $5-10. So one of the guys and I on stage at Traffic evidently had used that gig a couple of times and gotten great results from it. So he mentions me up on stage, has my picture up there. I started getting messages from people that were like, "Dude, you're on stage at Traffic and Conversion."
That's so rad.
And so I'm like, "Hey, I didn't even have to go," and I got all this promotion. And then that stupid Fiverr gig kept me busy and up until like 4 in the morning. I bet you I did. I think I did 1,500 Fiverr gigs.
Unbelievable.
Because of that mention at traffic and conversion. So yeah, a little cool history there with that conference.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. You know, when Fiverr came out, it was like the hottest thing.
Oh
And,
yeah.
I used it for all sorts of stuff. I was getting rap songs made for my companies. I was getting bumpers made. How many of you guys used Fiverr back in the day? I'd love to hear from you in the comments section, because I think anyone that used Fiverr back in the day, it's kind of like our people. You know what I mean? Like, those are our people.
Right. We used to use it to make promo videos for Fan Page Engine when I worked for them. These dumbest, silliest videos. People would make them for $5, and they were great.
Yeah. So I built my business on Fiverr. You know, I would get these custom intros made for my clients, these animated logos, and I'd get them made on Fiverr, right? But I would charge the client, you know, multiple, and I'm within reason, right? Because I'm actually consulting with the client, like, where's your logo, gather all the data. And then I'd have these guys make 3 mock-ups, cost me $15. When they went to, because now I think you should probably call them 20 Fiverr is probably, you know, is probably more what they are. And if you guys have never used Fiverr, it's a site where you can go and you can buy gigs for as low as $5. They'll write a blog for you. They'll, you know, give you an Excel template. They'll make you a business card design, all these different things, you know, and it's phenomenal. But nowadays it's like $25 for a minimum order. And I was really happy to see it go to $25 because even doing these $5 gigs, like, you just feel bad. It's like, wow, that was pretty, even though it's only a template, it still took you 3 hours to do it. So we still use them all the time. Do you still use them, Scott?
Here and there on the side, for when I had a small local business, and I would use my graph or
Scott, your internet is killing me.
I use it a lot.
Your internet is killing me right now. You might want to see it. Maybe we can go to full screen on me and give Scott a chance to sort of reboot. It's been kind of crackly since the beginning. Scott, we miss you, buddy. Come back to us. Come back to us. If you're just watching, I'm Owen Video. Scott Ayres is having internet trouble, and this is the Social Media Lab Live. On today's show, we are going to be talking about, is it a good idea for you to be cross-posting your Instagram content over to Facebook? And I want to know from you guys right now, are you doing that now? Is this a part of your process? Let me know about some of your results in the comment section. I would love to hear from you. I'd love to hear from Naomi is logging in again. She says, yes, as a freelancer, it's in my blood to hate Fiverr. Totally. I totally get that. I love that you admitted it, by the way. Colin Cottrell, good to see you. Colin and I met on Facebook earlier last week. Sarah Hecker is saying the VO section of Fiverr is awesome. Yeah, you know, Christopher Fresh logging in says, I used Fiverr. Christopher Fresh, by the way, has a phenomenal live show. We love to support other live streamers out there, and he's definitely somebody you guys should be following if you are in the small business community. Scott, great to have you back. I'm excited about today's show. One of our good friends will be joining us today, right?
Right. Yeah, I love having this guy on. He's always got a lot of energy. Always has the best intros when he comes into a show, so we'll see what he has for us when he pops on later. I'm sure
it's a great intro.
That export button, it's like, that saves the world for me. To be completely honest, it's the Repurposing team. It's the people behind the scenes, like 100%. I will tell people, any tool, it's really a matter of preference. It's your user face preference. It's, you know, whatever makes you comfortable. But for me, like, anybody on the sales team, all the way up to Emmerich, like, I can email them, I can say, hey, I have somebody who wants a demo. And within hours, those people have reached out in the most friendly, compassionate, understanding, supportive way to give that person a demo. And it's not just because that person knows me. They treat everybody that way. And I've seen, you know, what the team does behind the scenes in terms of working on, you know, whether it's a product update or release, or working on new things that are coming out, and even just how everyone comes together. It's the entire team behind the scenes, to me, is the selling point in terms of working with a great company that you know you can rely on.
That's right. Agorapulse is our favorite tool. They're the sponsor of this show, and you can get a free trial. Test them out. It's my favorite tool. I love them to death. Just go to agorapulse.com. If you're just joining us, welcome back. You're watching Social Media Lab Live, and today we're asking the question, we're digging into the data. Does cross-posting your content on Instagram help your business? Is this something that you should do? And our friend out there, Sarah Monroe, says yes, cross-posting is a good idea, but not always. Sarah, I'd love to know what you mean by that. When is a good time to cross-post? When is not? I'd love to hear from you. Colin Cottrell said, not all content needs to be cross-posted, but you have different followers on each network, so you want to keep your content on all eyes. And that's the camp I fall into, is like, why not, right? It's one button push there. It's so easy to do. We're going to dig into the data, though. Is it actually hurting me to do that? That's what I would like to know, and our guest today is going to help us dig into the science. Dustin Mayle is a very attractive man. He's a male hair model with a degree in style, and I may or may not have a man crush on him. He's an entrepreneur, he's a speaker, and he's a social media expert. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for my good friend, Dustin Stout. Dustin, welcome to the show.
Me? Thank you so much. That was probably, if I have to rate my introductions in the history of Dustin introductions, that was probably number 3. I want you to work on it next week. And
that was
next time you have me on.
Perfect. I have always
your
wanted to be
number
roasted
4.
like that on a re-edification. You know, oh, my good friend Owen, he's so great, but I love that you roasted me on an introduction. Dustin, you know,
you did call him Dustin Mayle, not Dustin Stout. Let's you messed up you called him Dustin Mayle, so that's even funnier.
That is hilarious. I didn't even realize that I said that. That's hilarious, guys.
Right.
If you caught that in the audience, tell me in the comment section. I'd say anything goes, folks. Anything goes. This show is like an I Love Lucy episode. We're in the chocolate factory. We're just trying to keep.
You got some explaining to
do. Dustin, you're a social media expert. You've networked. You've worked with and for some of the biggest companies and names out there. You've worked with Michael Hyatt. You've worked with BuzzSumo. And you actually your company does my automated cross or posting, and so you're digging into the data. Talk to us about this cross posting on Facebook or from Instagram to Facebook. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you do it? What's sort of your analysis before we dig into the data here?
So let me give you the top level view of my opinion of cross posting. Cross posting from one platform to another, whether that be Twitter to Facebook, Facebook to Instagram, Instagram to Tumblr. Cross-posting is a terrible, awful, ridiculously bad idea. But it doesn't have to be. If you have the right understanding of how social networks work, how the different cultures on social networks work, and if you have a basic understanding of some of the data and these big data studies that have been done, there have been some great data studies, and we're going to get into that. But studies from people like Agora Pulse, BuzzSumo, Buffer Blog has done some studies on this, but understanding the culture network is the key to doing actual good cross posting.
So tell us your real opinion about it, Dustin. like, no, he's like yelling at the camera. Don't do it.
I was ordering a pizza. I was ordering a pizza. I'm like getting ready for lunch. I'm like, no, Dustin's got this. Dustin's got this from here. You know, Sarah
just
Monroe,
leave him on screen. Yeah.
Sarah Monroe is commenting, and she had mentioned about when it comes to cross posting and when not to. I go with instincts mostly. If I have a great photo without many tags to edit in Facebook, I will share from Instagram to Facebook. Followers don't seem to mind. Rewriting for Twitter sucks. And yeah, I think that cross-posting on Twitter is just a horrible idea. Generally speaking, Dustin, why is cross-posting generally a bad idea?
Well, because the way that people interpret the term cross-post, this idea of cross-posting in the early days when, when I first got started, Buffer was really the only game in town that was allowing you to quote-unquote cross-post from one platform to another. There was things like TweetDeck and some other Twitter tools that would allow you sort of to hack your way into, I only have to post this thing one time and it gets shot off to the other networks that I wanted to go to. And it's an identical post on both places.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, that might have been okay. People didn't care, people didn't notice, but now people are a little more savvy and the cultures have really evolved on these networks. And you look at a typical Instagram post that does really well, they look much different than a post on, say, Facebook that does really well. And fortunately, we have data to back this up. I just recently worked with BuzzSumo to complete a massive, absolutely massive Facebook engagement study. And this study involved gathering data from not 7 million, not 777 million Facebook posts analyzed. Yes, that many. We analyzed the data. BuzzSumo pulled it using their amazing tool. We gathered it up and we figured out what exactly works on Facebook in 2019.
Yeah.
Because it changes all the time. And then there was this amazing post by Agora Pulse that analyzed, what really works on Instagram, and they were particularly looking at the hashtags. One interesting finding in both the studies is Instagram. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Scott, but you guys found that 30 hashtags was actually the ideal number of hashtags to add to a post.
We got more engagement from it than using, and actually more impressions than we did when we used the 8 to 10 we originally studied. So yeah, it did a lot better than we expected for sure. It's a lot of hashtags though.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of hashtags, but that's the same thing on Facebook. Studies have shown that hashtags have zero effect. In fact, if you use more than a few hashtags on Facebook, it actually lowers your reach, lowers your engagement, because people on Facebook interpret it as spammy. Whereas on Instagram, it's the norm.
Well, yeah, because on Instagram, you're using it to go and search and find topics, where Facebook is more of like to be ironic and kind of funny.
Right, exactly.
And so it's a whole different feel for sure.
A whole different culture.
Now, have you cross-posted in the past from Instagram to Facebook? Was that something you tried and saw any success?
Yeah, I definitely tried it. Yeah, I mean, for efficiency's sake, I've done it before, in the early days, like I said. I did it a lot. And I just noticed that on Facebook, the Instagram posts didn't do as well. And even though they were beautiful visuals, even though, the introduction of the caption before the hashtags was fine, it just always didn't perform nearly as well. And we noticed this on client taken over and managed for them. And in a lot of cases, they were doing this cross-posting. And while their Instagram might have done okay, their Facebook usually seemed a little dead and a little empty as far as engagement goes. And some of these data studies that we've pointed out definitely show that the trend is not just unique to a specific brand, but it's across industries. So the idea of cross-posting in its original form, I think, is the reason why I have a distaste for that terminology. Right. So it's not the act of sharing the same-ish content across multiple platforms. It's the idea of sharing the exact same thing across multiple platforms.
Yeah, like an auto post. Right.
Right, an auto post.
Yeah.
Whereas
the whole
I think if you're very
IFTTT thing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. The whole if this then that. If post to Twitter, then post to Instagram.
We've got some comments too from our audience. Sarah Monroe just really logging in and getting involved. We'd love to hear from you folks too. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section about cross posting. She says that she was hoping to draw some followers back to her Instagram page, right? Hoping to get the Facebook followers to come onto Instagram. Colin Cottrell is saying, I don't agree with the method of cross posting at all. Speak to each audience and network. And I think what he's saying is, as the platform desires. Sarah Monroe is saying the cross-posting feature just screams lazy. And and I wonder if our customers are really that in tune. I mean, do our customers or do our clients really notice that it's lazy, or are they just glad to get your content? Scott, you did a study and you went into a lot of depth on this. In fact, we're going to be posting the link to the study in the comment section. So if you guys want to go to that blog and look it up later, the data is there. Let's jump into that study a little bit, Scott. You went in and give us some background on cross-posting to Instagram and some of the data that BuzzSumo provided you and what happened there. Let's sort of dig into the facts behind the case here.
Right. And so what we found on this BuzzSumo, their study, they concluded, and this was when it kind of got me to want to start looking at it, is they're cross-posting or reposted, as they kind of worded here, Instagram to Facebook, they saw 23% more engagement than posts that were native on Facebook. So it kind of goes against what we already been talking about that it shouldn't do as well. So that was a massive eye opener to me to kind of go, this is worth looking at and seeing, because the bad thing that I don't like about some of these giant studies is they don't look at the typical user. They're looking at, a lot of these spammy pages, or they're looking at stuff like the IFTT sort of deal. And so I think it's a little bit different. So we had to dig in a little bit further on that. So that's a massive study. And Social Media Examiner, they also looked at it. I don't think they gave data on theirs, but they actually talked about how to cross-post, and there's multiple ways to cross-post. But BuzzSumo was really the one that kind of was the catapult for us to hop into that, to see if that 23% is going to be accurate or not.
And you had discovered sort of this data, and you're asking yourselves why, right? Why?
Right.
And it's because every audience is different. And I think that's what our audience right now is even saying in the comment section. Naomi, who welcome back to the show. It was great to see you last week and the week before, and now you're here again. In fact, you can subscribe to the show right now if you give me 5 in the comment section. Type 5 if you're watching on Facebook. That will subscribe you to the show. Naomi Nakashima is saying people don't use Instagram the way that they use Facebook. So, of course, they're going to respond to content differently. And this is this sort of what you dug into with the Social Media Examiner article?
Yeah, and what we're talking about, there's a difference, I think, between cross-posting and auto cross-posting.
Okay.
So let's kind of make some distinction there. What we're testing here is I've already posted it to Instagram, and then I go over and then manually post that over to Facebook. And so kind of repurposing or reusing the same content is what we tested, because that's what they were looking at. So not necessarily going into a tool like Agora Pulse and scheduling out the same piece to 5 networks. It's going in later and after the fact and doing it is what we tested, and what the BuzzSumo test and what Social Media Examiner was looking at.
So let's take a look at that. Dustin, any thoughts on differing of the audience and how to sort of control? Are you hurting your audience? And I think that's the big question. Does it hurt the audience?
I don't think it, quote unquote, hurts the audience. But again, it all comes to user expectations and the culture on the platform. So every network's different expectation. Things look a certain way on Instagram. And
do we have that graphic, Melissa, from Social Media Examiner? So
that
Social
looks
Media
weird
Examiner,
or strange or out of place.
Social Media Examiner recommends cross-posting from Instagram to Facebook, as they found when doing so achieved a much higher reach when compared to regular posts. I mean, with data like this, Scott, it's pretty easy to come up with a hypothesis. Tell us about your hypothesis then, having looked at this background data. What did you guys come up with for how you were going to run this experiment?
Yeah, our hypothesis was posting content from Instagram to a Facebook page will have no impact on reach and or engagement. So that's kind of our best guess based on the things we looked at, the studies looked at, and then just our knowledge of social media and our gut feelings. Sometimes our gut feelings are wrong.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're right. And so this was kind of our original hypothesis.
And the whole thing about a hypothesis, folks, Dustin, good to have you back. You're a little crackly there, and so we cut you faster. I was gonna go with an 8th day joke, but we're gonna just keep moving forward. We're glad to have you back. With this hypothesis, and this is why it's the Social Media Lab Live, folks, because Scott does things very scientifically, right? I tend to I'll do a blast with my team, look at the numbers, and make a lifelong decision, right? Where Scott sort of digs into the content, and so you created a hypothesis, but a hypothesis has to be testable. So your hypothesis is that doing this cross-posting is not going to grow your page at all, that there's going to be net zero growth from this. How do you test that, though?
Well, for us to test it, and this is important on all the tests that we do, is we want to test multiple industries and multiple accounts. It's one thing to just post on Agora Pulse's account, but how does that apply to, Joe Schmo bike shop, in Spokane, Washington.
Right.
So we want to make sure we have some different accounts. So on this test, we use Agorapulse's Instagram account, of course. I use my church's Instagram account because that's kind of a real life sort of small Instagram account that's trying to figure things out. And then I also use I had a bounce house business, and I use that bounce house business's Instagram account. So 3 kind of segments. You got a SaaS company, you've got a church, nonprofit, and then you've got a small local business. So we use those 3 accounts to go into the testing. And the graphic that you pulled up there was just showing you how to do this. Now this is on an Android device. So it may be a little bit different if you're on iOS. But basically, if you go, like there's a good photo of our CEO, Emmerich, hanging out with one of our clients. You click the little 3 dots for hamburgers, what I always call it, for lack of a term.
I call it too. I call it the hamburger as well.
So you tap on that, and then the next image will pop up and give you the option to share. And then once you tap on that, then you're going to get the option to edit the content itself. And then where to share it to. So if you go to the next image, there you go. So there, if you've connected your business page to your business Instagram account, you're going to get the option to share it to whatever Facebook page you're connected to, or you could do Tumblr, Twitter, and Flickr. I don't know who still uses Flickr.
I think Flickr is like an SEO game, And here's the thing about Flickr, because I'm kind of like, I don't use Flickr. I'm not actively like uploading.
I used to love Flickr,
but I used to, and it was this big SEO tool. How many of you guys ever used Flickr? I would never put an image in my blog. I would always I'd go to Flickr and then embed the Flickr image in the blog. And I never ranked anything, by the way. So I'm that guy that's like, well, I can do this, so I should just do it, right? As opposed to really digging into the numbers, which is what you're doing here. Dustin Stout, are you an iPhone user or an Android user? I'd love to hear from you guys in the audience too, because we just walked through a quick tutorial on an Android. What is that? A Google Pixel? What are we looking at?
It was a Samsung Galaxy. Yeah.
Samsung Galaxy.
That was probably when I was on an S8. I'm on to a Note 9 now. So.
And Dustin, you got the XS beta. Is that what you've got, or the Mega?
I'm a iPhone 10.
iPhone 10. Nice. I never, I'm on the XS, or maybe it's the 10S. I'd love to hear from you guys. Android, iPhone, Pixel. Who uses the Pixel? I don't even know. It's up for debate. It's up for debate. Okay, so you tested using this share method. Yeah. And then you ran into some issues. What were some of the issues that you guys came across in testing this data?
Some of the biggest things is just remembering to do it. When you're trying to do content manually like this, that's the worst because you forget. You're like, oh yeah, it's Tuesday and I haven't done this yet. And so that's the biggest one, especially from a guy who loves to plan out the content and schedule it out a month or so in advance. This sort of test was a big pain in the butt. And so something that I was testing 7 pieces of shared content versus 7 pieces of original content on each page. So it ended up taking me like 2 weeks to kind of get to the post count that I wanted to, because it was taking me forever to constantly remember it. So that's, if this is your strategy, it's really not much of a strategy. You're kind of just doing it when you remember, and you end up with 6 of them on a Thursday afternoon. And so, yeah, that was a big stumbling block for me on this test. And
how did you guys power through that?
Just for me, when I do tests like this, like I'm doing one right now on Instagram where I'm testing graphics versus faces of our team, pictures from our team. Yeah. And I'm doing the whole go check the link in our bio thing, which means I got to change the link out every day on our Instagram account. Yeah. And so I have to set a reminder on my phone. Good. To go change that link out, because there's no way to do that automatically. And so stuff like that, if you're going to test like this, you've got to set some sort of reminders to go do it. And then my worst part on all these tests is just accidentally doing it and doing stuff like this in the weekends and forgetting, because it's Saturday and I'm, out mowing the lawn or something. And like, oh yeah, I got to go do my social media test. So yeah, you definitely want to do that.
I use alarms in my phone for everything. And I think one of my genius, I I was gonna say genius holes. I don't know if that's the right one of my genius things that I do is I put everything in. I know when to separate my phone from my Google Calendar, right? And then I also have Alexa routines that sort of keep me in line. So for example, we work out of our house. Believe it or not, you guys are looking at my house, which I have sort of retrofitted to be a live broadcasting studio. It's important to me that the kitchen table, because our guests and our business colleagues, they come and they see that area. It's important they clean that off every day. So you put an alarm in the phone. Make sure the table's cleaned off by 8 a.m., right? Make sure that you cross-post to Instagram. Make sure that you upload natively to Facebook. I have an alarm that goes off at 7:15, because this is when I arrive to Starbucks every morning. At 7:15, that says, what's your content for today? And it reminds me, I'm actually going to move that to 6:35, because around 6:35, I'm in the sauna. It's a better time for me to get that alert so I can think about it. What alarms do you guys have in your phones that help you manage your business? I'd love to hear from you in the comment section. Dustin Stout, do you set alarms to manage social media? Do you use tools? How do you remember to do some of the stuff that you're supposed to do on social media?
So I'm a big Todoist fan. The productivity and project management app we use for my entire team is Todoist. So everything is in there. It pretty much dictates my day. So first thing I do when I sit down at my desk is I open up Todoist and say, what's on the agenda today?
Nice.
And so there's daily recurring tasks, weekly recurring tasks. That's how I do it. I also have a couple of Google Home routines that routinely go off, but those are more for the family because the Google.
But all the better point is that you have these backups, right? Because you know when to use what and all that kind of stuff. Love to hear from you guys in the comment section. So Sarah Monroe is asking a great question. She's saying, I'd love to see a study. I'm paraphrasing for you now, Sarah. She says, I'd love to see a study where does cross-posting hurt the Instagram post? I can't imagine that it would. I would think that it goes off to the Instagram algorithm, which reacts, and then the other one kind of reacts. The Facebook algorithm reacts. And Scott, you actually did the numbers. So you were looking at the Agora Pulse page, software development, a local business, a local bounce house, and then a church, so a nonprofit. Really three great different industries. And what did you find was the result of cross-posting from Instagram versus repurposing and uploading natively to Facebook? What were some of the numbers that you guys discovered?
So we looked at reach. Reach is the main thing we looked at because that's really the buzzword on
what does
Facebook
reach
as
mean?
Far as that's just basically how many people saw your post, to put it in like a real layman's term. And so hopefully that's how many people you reached out to saw your post. That's kind of how we
see more than one. Like, can one person like be counted as 3 in reach, where like it appeared on their screens? Or
I believe that would
like
I believe that would be like impressions. Yeah, I believe it should be unique. It's kind of like looking at your unique page visitors and your Google Analytics versus page views.
Does reach apply to a person? Or does it apply to like a device?
Should be a person. That's what I'm going to answer here.
That's cool.
I want to say it's a person. I don't think it's based on the device.
And I'd love to hear from the
if they go back and forth, I guess they could, but I don't know. At the time of looking at this overall reach, we would have been able to tell. Now they've changed that a little bit. We might be able to dive in. But in reality, who's looking at mobile and then back on their desktop at the same post? Probably not. As far as how the numbers worked out, we'll kind of go through them real quick because we've gone on a little here. If we look at the Agora Pulse page, we averaged all together all of the data, and I think you've got the stat there.
Yeah.
The reach on the post cross-posted from Instagram was 706, and direct posts in Facebook were 1316, and these were directly posted, not scheduled posts to Facebook, by the way. The way we remove that anomaly of a third-party tool or anything like that. So these are all native. So a big, massive difference there. If we go to the Spacewalk page, we saw the reach of the cross-posted from Instagram was 680. The direct to Facebook was 1,076. And then when we look at the church page, obviously a smaller page, so a lot less reach. 189 was the reach from the Instagram post, cross-posted, and 291 directly to Facebook. And so you can see how the percentage of those are massive differences, anywhere from 86% higher natively to Facebook down to 58%. So big difference. And then if we take all of those and average them together, which is what we always do to get a conclusion, there's 72% higher reach when we posted natively to Facebook compared to doing the cross posting over from Instagram. So massive difference that, for me, that if it had been just 20%, I would have said, don't do it. 72%, I'm like Dustin and up in the camera saying, don't do this. This is the awful method. Please don't do this. Because obviously if Facebook is somehow penalizing it, you don't want to do it. And it is strange to me that it would be lower, because you think, they're brothers, they're kissing cousins, however you want to say it. You would think they would favor those posts, but they didn't for whatever reason. I don't know why. But when every page saw the same exact results, that gives us a trend to kind of go by. And so BuzzSumo's original 23% higher findings that they had didn't work for us when we tested it.
That's interesting. So did you kind of like take that back to them and be like, hey, BuzzSumo, you guys suck, Like,
no, BuzzSumo doesn't suck. I wouldn't say that.
No, I know they're actually, but I'd love to see more fighting happen, like more fist fights in social media. I don't like the end of Rocky V with Tommy Gunn. I don't know. It's something that I've been dreaming about. Dustin Stout.
Like me and Brian from Buffer can get like an arm wrestling match at Social Media Marketing World or something.
It reminds me of what was that claymation show on MTV, like Celebrity Deathmatch?
Celebrity Deathmatch.
Ding, ding.
They're back. Did you hear about this?
No.
I think they are.
Back?
Yeah.
They're bringing it back.
I love it. I love how like stuff.
But who watches MTV now?
I know. I walk past that treadmill at the gym. You know what I mean? To go, I try to find like a treadmill in between TVs, so I don't even have to like deal with anything. Dustin Stout, what do we do when one study says X and another study says not X? How do we deal with that in our own businesses and in our actual living out of social media principles?
You'll have to forgive me. My internet is dying, and I didn't understand anything you just said.
It's too bad. It was like probably one of the greatest questions of all time. I think. I was just thinking to myself, like, there was a real journalist question, right? I feel like Burt Reynolds in that Marky Mark movie where he's like, I finally made a real movie. What do we do, Dustin Stout, when you've got, a reputable company like BuzzSumo says X, but then new data says not X, and these are in contrast with each other. How are we supposed to live that out as social media managers and marketing experts?
Wow, I'm in absolute awe of the amazingness of that journalistic question.
I told
you. Thank you for the blessing of that question, Owen. So here's the thing. Most of the people watching, they're savvy. They understand that social media changes every single day.
Yeah, that worked out
really good to say.
That worked out well. Yeah. Against my better judgment, I kicked the ball back to the guy in Bakersfield. Let it be a lesson, folks. Let me just tell you real fast. This internet thing. Naomi Nakashima is saying, "Wow, that's a huge difference. I expected you to say like 20%ish. 72%ish difference is gasp worthy." Not only that, folks, you got to start asking yourself, is that 72% reach worth extra time to go and upload the post natively? I think that it is, and I think if you're using a tool like Agorapulse, that could help decrease some of your time. I'd love to maybe see a study in the future about third-party tools posting and what maybe we've got one, Scott, that we could look at.
We do.
You guys, Sarah Monroe is saying, "Oh, okay." She says, "Okay. I'll stop cross-posting. Love the data." That, I'll tell you, I love hearing comments like that, because that's what this show is all about. It's about really kind of clearing up the fog and really understanding, what's real about social media marketing. Is it going to be worth your time now, folks? Like, is it going to be worth your time, especially if Instagram's sort of a part-time thing for you? And I'd love to know, is Instagram, like, how high on your list of priorities is Instagram. I would say in my personal business, it's number 2 right now. In fact, I just got back from a conference. I was in Menfluential in Atlanta. Phenomenal training there from a photographer, does well, 117,000 followers, on how the Instagram algorithm actually works. Scott, for you, what are you seeing in your business or the people you're surrounded by? How important is Instagram as a platform this year?
I think it's still one of those things that people are still trying to figure out, which is probably why it's our hottest content for the lab and most requested. People still haven't quite figured out what to do on it as a business. But I think because of stories are so hot on Instagram, that's probably where most people are spending their time these days compared to the feed. So you kind of got to look at both. But I would rank Instagram, like for us at Agora Pulse, we're trying to get better and better at making Instagram our people place. That's where we're showing the face of our team more, kind of being a little more personal. We're a lot less, except right now during the test, we're a lot less markety on Instagram. We're more just about the feels. We're about the visuals and just kind of building a brand in a sense there and a community, where Facebook is typically, we're posting links, we're posting lives, we're doing our studies.
Content.
And so and so it's a whole different world over there. But I do think just to make sure we're everybody heard what I said earlier, and kind of one of our last little feedbacks, our ideas we had after doing the post. Posting the same content to different networks is okay to do. It's just how you do it and when you do it. Yeah. That's why when you use Agora Pulse, you could go in and actually make each post have specific text. You wouldn't do an at so-and-so, at Owen video and hope it tags him and everyone, which you can tag people inside Agora Pulse on the different platforms. But what if your name is different on each one of them?
That's right.
It wouldn't work. Because the worst thing to me is like when you see someone post something to Facebook and then you see that little raw at Scott Ayres.
Right.
In the text.
It didn't actually hyperlink to
No,
anything.
it did nothing. It did nothing. And all the hashtags and those things that don't work. So you want to make sure if you're going to post the same piece of content, my advice is to make sure when you schedule it, you make sure it's different for every place. It's different character links. You're making sure you tag people correctly, using hashtags when they make sense. And then I like to have them go out at different times. The worst thing for me is when I follow someone, and I've seen this happen a lot in the social media space, where I follow their business page, their personal profile, their Instagram account, their Twitter account, and the same piece of content gets posted at the same time at 5 o'clock on Tuesday. Yeah. And I see it everywhere. And I'm like, why? I fall asleep and don't want to engage with any of it. Yeah. Because I know that they don't have a specific schedule for that network based on the data. They set up a schedule for 5 o'clock Tuesday. Yeah. And so make sure your schedule is specific for that network when your fans are going to engage. And you do that by looking at your insights and kind of figuring out when they typically are on the most. So that's my 2 biggest pieces of advice. So make sure the text part is customized, and then make sure that you're posting at the times that make sense and do it at different times. Because I've unfollowed people because of that when I see that same piece go out to all of them. So that's some big advice I would make. I use in my own life.
I do the same thing. I unfollow people, and I unfollow them on Instagram, because on Instagram I want to have a lower follower to followee relationship. This is actually, depending on that number, this can really affect how out there you get into the newsfeed. Also affects what you see. If you follow too many accounts, like Instagram has to decide what you're going to see. And I feel like right now Instagram shows me stuff that they know I'm going to unfollow, because I'm like, yes, unfollow. Right. And here's the reason why. A lot of it is because in the beginning I was doing a follow back thing. And
I still do it.
Right. Well, and I did it with the wrong people, because ain't nobody followed me back. Right. You can tell, because when you unfollow, it will say follow back. And really people that didn't need to be following me anyway. So it's like I see their content. It's like, good luck to you. It's not my thing. But if I know I'm going to get the content on Facebook, if I know I'm going to see it in my email, I unfollow on Instagram, so that Instagram can have sort of the priority of my time, right? Sarah Monroe is talking about Facebook fatigue in the comment section. She says, working with nonprofits, women-centric organizations, and businesses and educators, Instagram is first. Facebook fatigue hasn't resolved for them yet, but it is coming back. I think Facebook fatigue is a real thing. And, I certainly am experiencing it. It's like everybody's on Facebook, and so I kind of make that the fruit salad, right? Whereas Instagram, I want to have more control over, and I know who I see, and I can have a little bit more meaningful. In fact, Instagram DMs have largely replaced Messenger. What Messenger used to be, for me, we were hacking Instagram Messenger in the very beginning. We were using it like and you're back.
It's the day of internet problems.
It's the devil. I didn't want to say, you started talking about 7 times 70 earlier, and I'll tell you, he just jumped. He's a prince of the power of the air, folks. Like, you don't.
First mine went out, then Dustin's went out, and then Owen's goes out. All
We're
at
going
the same
strong.
time. Yeah.
That was Facebook screwed up, not us. Let me tell you. So, did you hear the question? Does the test itself affect the test? Because she's wondering, like, if you're
Naomi's question.
Yeah.
I worry about that, to be honest with you, and that's why when I run like the test I'm running right now, you can go to our Instagram account and probably see it. I'm not using hashtags on any of the posts, so I don't skew any results. And then I'm going to make sure I'm looking at the data of posts at the same exact time. So I'm posting a graphic as part of the test and a regular photo as part of the test. Not going back to, I'm not going to look at data from a month ago and try to compare it. So it could skew it some, yes, when you kind of deviate from what you normally do. Yeah. But we're always testing so many different things on our Instagram account that people probably, they don't care.
It's almost like, it's almost like your page is sort of, and you're always really posting stuff that's aligned with your content strategy. It's not necessarily like, let's test and see, what happens if we post pictures of apples. It's more like when, like unrelated, like when, and you're not running, or an egg, right? And you're not posting a picture of an egg on 3 different channels. It's more like, well, when this channel or when this Instagram account posts regularly, what are the results of that post? And then you're sort of measuring different things, different peaks and valleys within those results. And I think that's something to consider. I think it's pretty objective, I think, when you see the data. Melissa, cue our music here. When you see the data, and you can check that out, guys, in the comments section. Everything that we've talked about today is in a nice, neat blog on agorapulse.com. And we are live every single week right here on Facebook, bringing you new data to help you make the right decisions with your social media marketing. Type 5 to join us again next week. We're so glad you came. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Christopher. Thank you, Colin. Thank you, Naomi. All of you for leaving comments. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, Dustin.
And on the Social Media Lab Live.
Thank you for watching the Social Media Lab, brought to you by Agorapulse, where we use science to crack the social media code. Join us live on Facebook and YouTube to find out what's working and what's not working in social media.